everybody, this is Jonathan Schrantz, and today I'm going to perform a little bit of a magic trick. I am going to try to hold my own with the Stafford Gambit against Stockfish. But to back up, this all came about because there's been a lot of interest on the channel. I want to give a huge thanks to you guys for watching the videos of me playing against computers, and in particular, the video of me defeating Stockfish with the Nxe5 Gambit really got a ton of views. There was a huge amount of interest for it. So I want to be able to make that kind of content. However, it is actually quite hard to defeat Stockfish, as it turns out. So it made me wonder, is it possible with sufficient preparation to actually be able to routinely and with a high degree of certainty hold your own against Stockfish level 8 on lichess? Now, I know that this isn't the absolute ideal conditions for the engine to be playing under, and I know that this isn't even the strongest version of this super engine, but I will be handicapping myself by playing a Stafford Gambit, but I'm armed with 4 days of knowledge and hundreds of games that I've played against the computer in this opening. So I can say with a very high degree of certainty that I should be able to at least make a draw, no matter which version it picks. It's an incredibly useless skill, but hopefully you guys do get some sort of enjoyment out of it, and hopefully it picks one of the prettier lines. And if you are actually really interested in this opening, you should 100% check out Eric Rosen. He's got a YouTube channel, he's got a Twitch channel, and the guy is the master of the Stafford Gambit. Nobody knows it better than him, so you should definitely check it out if you want more resources on this fun opening. But here we go. It'll be interesting to see exactly which line Stockfish decides to play in this game. This is sort of the known refutation, at least on the human level. So for those that are kind of interested in this Gambit, hopefully I can demonstrate something particularly interesting. This is actually one of my favorite lines that is actually playing right into. And here, so, you know, most people would move this bishop, but not me. Not me. Also, when I'm going through these, I'm looking for lines that are particularly beautiful. And here, we're going to keep up the pressure. We're just going to keep attacking things. And suddenly, we are going to have 2 of our pieces hanging. What are we supposed to do? Looks like we're playing like a total patzer. Well, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to try to open up this H file. We're going to try to get as much activity as we can. And let's just see. We're going to leave our pieces hanging. We don't have time for it. It's just all about the initiative. It's about developing your stuff. And we've sacrificed an entire piece here. You can't take the knight, so I can just calmly get developed. And here's an interesting choice. Oh, sweet. So this one is actually allows one of the coolest tactics in the positions. You may want to pause and see what you would play here as black. I think this one is going to come as a shock to a lot of people. So this one is really cool. In this position, you can actually play a brilliant move. Bishop to c5. Bishop to c4, sorry. So bishop to c4 with the big idea that now you go here and we're trying to hurt white here. So white will defend, but now we can remove the defender. So this is one of my favorite lines, so I'm really glad I went down this one. Now after this, we're going to lose our rook back. And for a moment, it does look bad for us. But hey, wait a minute. Isn't there this double attack? But now, white will magically get out of it by threatening rook to h8. So we're simply going to have to cut our losses here. We're going to get castled. And you get this incredible imbalance. It's a rook and 2 bishops for a queen. The rook is active. The rook is probably going to come in. In most of the lines, the rook just comes in and it takes us here. So black needs to be active. Black needs to go for some sort of counterplay over on this side. So we're going to play a5, b5, a4, a3, this sort of a thing. And here, wait, there's a timing. 1, 2, 3. If you can time it just right, you can sometimes convince it to castle here. Castling is usually a draw too, but it also... There's one line that one time actually did beat it, but I can't seem to get it to repeat that one regularly enough. The b3 line, we can come over here. And so we're on the rook, and now the main idea is to bring the queen in. Okay. Okay, so now we come over here. We attack this rook. And it's still very unclear. This is like the weirdest imbalance I've ever seen. A rook, 2 bishops, and 2 pawns for a queen. But somehow we're going to be able to just hold our own. And even though we only have 2 pieces, they are both about to get really active here. So we have to be really careful with the king, but if we can manage to just stay safe, avoid a lot of the checks in these lines. We obviously want to go to a light square so we don't get checked. We're gonna have just enough play based on this A pawn over here to hold our own. So now we need to make a big decision. Which way are we going to go? I'm going to go back. And yeah, so now that he takes here, we're going to bring our queen back, and hopefully we have just enough play and we can escape all of these checks. So you can make a few mistakes here. You can go here, and he'll be able to take this thing back with check. So as long as we can avoid a lot of the checks, again, I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. And here, we'll just keep repeating. White may or may not decide to play on here. White has decided to play on, so I'm going to play pawn to a2. And yeah, now I'm just going to drop back, and hopefully we just make a draw here. White really shouldn't be able to play on for a win. If he wants to, he could play something like bishop to c4 to continue to try to play for a win. But it looks like the opponent has had enough. So hopefully you guys did find this entertaining and instructional. I don't know how relevant it is for human play, but I do just want to point out, if your opponent does go for the refutation line, there's this very interesting idea of bringing the queen and, in this position, sacrificing a piece. Now, we have Stockfish running here. This is Stockfish 11 plus, and it really hates it the entire time. What's really amusing to me about this variation is that it absolutely hates it. Like, this is like +5 the entire time. And yet, consistently, if you do play this against the level 8 computer, you are frequently able to win. I don't know what that means, but you know, this whole time, this whole variation, it's very, very good for white. But you know, somehow, some way, even though it's playing all the moves it thinks are great, I can throw a few curveballs in there. So maybe Queen H5 is one of the few that it actually doesn't see coming. But it's still like between +1 and +3, even in this position. Depending on how long you give it to think, it really will think that it's good for white in most situations here, which is pretty amusing. Even still, it doesn't know if it's equal or if you give it enough time, is it a win? But I'm pretty confident here that we've reached draw territory. Even though every single move it thinks, at least on low depth, that it's actually a draw. Sometimes giving really huge numbers, but yeah, despite the overreactions, we were able to, at least in this game, make a draw in this position. So let me know if this is actually content that you guys like. Would you like to see this with other gambits? If so, let me know which ones in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys for another video. Subscribe!